Hey everybody, it's Paul with CDA. Let's go ahead and get started. And so what we're going to do is we are going to show you how to create users for both the desktop and mobile side of CDA. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the Utilities menu. We're going to go to Employees and we're going to say Add Edit Employee Table. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a desktop user. So what we do in CDA when you first get started, we add these first four groups for you. We have them billing, CSR, manager, and parts. And the reason why we do this is we want to make it easy for you to create a user that may be in one of these four departments, and you can go ahead and create your own as well. But this just lays down a template for you to get started. So let's go ahead and say that we want to hire an employee. Their name is Becky, and we want them to have all the permissions that are associated with the billing department. So now for our demo, I did label these as department names and not individual names. I didn't do that to confuse you. I just did it so that you would see that people are in departments. So when you create new users, you can either create them with a blank slate or you can create them based off of another user profile. So let's go ahead and add a user, Becky. And so we're going to say Becky. Now for our demo purposes, we're just going to say that there's a user called billing. But what it's going to do is it's going to mirror these preferences, these settings, or for read or write. And so what happens is there's Becky, and we're going to go ahead, put her name, and then we can put her last name. We can put a picture, we can do all that stuff. But for this quick demo for the desktop user, we're just going to put in Becky. Then we're going to say activate employee, and then we're going to say, hey, this is a desktop user. And we're going to say okay. So what happened was I created the user Becky. I mirrored all of her permissions. So there are 14 tabs, and there's 158 possibilities for read and write permissions. And so what we did, we created Becky, and she's going into the billing department, and so she has permissions that are based upon billing. So what I want to show you now is, let's just say for whatever reason you turned all of these to green and you got confused and you're like, oh no, I didn't want to do that, and you were all over these 14 tabs. Like, well, how do I reset Becky to be the permissions of either billing or someone that else is in billing? And all you would do is you would say reset privileges from another profile. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And then we're just going to say, hey, I just want to get back to the billing permissions. And now look and see what happens right there. So let's go ahead and say submit, and you'll see that they came back. And so that's how you do that. And then you would just say save and close to get those permissions. Now what I want to show you is, let's move over to a mobile tech user. So I showed you Becky, and she was going to be a desktop. Now let's move over to a tech user, because on the tech user we have lots of information filled out. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start from the top and we're going to work our way down. So you see we have the tech first name, we have their last name, address, email, all this pertinent information, have phone numbers, carrier, that is legacy, that will be removed shortly, that doesn't get used. We have their DOB. Then we have a picture of the tech. Now I'm going to go ahead and just pause here for a moment. So the reason why you want to have that tech picture in there is because when your route manager clicks the send notification the day before to send out all the route information to your customers, he's also going to be sending the badge. Now this is all automatic. He doesn't do anything. It's all through automation. A badge is going to be sent that has your company information, and it also is going to have a picture of the tech that says, hey, here's your tech George or Kirby, and he's going to be showing up tomorrow at this time and this date, and here's what he looks like. And so we send a separate picture called the CDA badge, and we pick up this picture profile to send that badge. And again, that's all automated. So I just wanted to point that out and pause for a moment. Now let's get back to the fields. We have emergency contact, the phone number. Now here's another one we want to pause for a moment. This says CDA Pigeons agent name. So what can happen is this tech would have mobile CDA Pigeons and then what you do is you pick who is he. So is it Kathy? No, it's actually the tech. So now that's how you map the CDA Pigeons mobile to the tech user. You do it through this profile setup. Let's continue on with the fields. We have the hire date, termination, last pay increase, and then here's another important one. It's going to be +1 tech ID. So if you're doing Samsung work and others that require +1 information, here's where you would copy and paste that information from HR. Now let's go ahead, let's look at commissions. So let's say enable commissions for the tech. Then let's go ahead and say for labor he gets 10%, for parts he gets 22%, for diagnostics he gets 23%, and then when he upsells other things he gets 33%. And so that's how you fill in that information. And then we have just a comment in here for anyone that looks in. You can insert some type of comment. This is where we reset the password. Now again, we would reset the password both for desktop and for mobile users. Then what we have is we have what is called the department code. So let's just say this particular person works in the pro department. You would say pro, or whatever departments you set up, this is how you put that employee and or tech in the department code. Now here's a real good one for technicians where you can assign them the default inventory for their parts. So let's say you have a remote tech. This is a huge piece of information you want to know, because then what you do for each tech, they would get their own inventory and you would select, okay, this tech is in this parts inventory or this tech is in this parts inventory. So now when you check in parts or order parts, you're ordering it directly for that tech who's remote, more than likely, or in another location, and then they will indeed get that part. So this is a very big thing that we do in CDA, and this is where you want to see that information. Here's another good piece of information that we do is for your scheduling department. It says, okay, I have this tech Kirby. He does delivery. So whenever we schedule, we only schedule deliveries. We always show Kirby. Let's say he did appliances. Now he shows up for the appliance schedule. So this is where you can pick and choose what is the schedule group that the technician falls into, so that when the route manager is pulling the route together, he makes sure he grabs the correct techs for each group. And so that's how you select that. And then we also have employee groups. Now again, we could have did this for Becky, who was in billing, so she would have been part of, let's just say, office, or we could have had another one who was the CSR. They would go in office. In our case, we're saying that this tech is a road tech, and or we could say he's a shop tech. And so we'll go ahead, we'll say he's a road tech. So that's how that's done. Again, we already went over this. This is 14 tabs with 158, 160 possibilities of permissions. And then in this case, it's a mobile tech. So we say the tech is active. We then say it's a mobile tech. We give him a specific color. Now here's a very important thing you want to remember. Each tech gets their own unique color. And the reason why that is that when the route manager is looking at the map, he can associate the color with the tech. And so they can quickly see on the map, okay, I'm breaking up the different techs by color. And so that's a huge organizer for your route manager when they are doing the route on the map. And then what we do is we say, where is the tech starting from? And we do that for when we're doing mapping for mileage and things of that nature. So this is a mandatory field pretty much. You want to make sure you fill that out. From wherever the tech is starting, you want to go ahead and put in that information. And then last but not least, you would click here and you would simply say save and exit. So I know that's a lot of information, but it's pretty much easy to create individuals. You just say add, and then you just mirror them off another individual, and then you just simply create them. If you want to get rid of a user, you would simply say delete the user. If you want to quickly find a user, you just come up here and you can real-time search. So that will conclude our demonstration for how to create employees both on the desktop side and on the mobile side.